You're probably going to have a hard time believing this one. Your gut reaction might be, I'll believe it when I see it. But Tesla's next big move could genuinely turn the global real estate market on its head and spark a shift we haven't seen before. Picture this: a Tesla tiny home. Wildly energy efficient, surprisingly cheap, and built more like a piece of tech than a traditional house. Word is the starting price could be around $7,999, and it might actually hit the market sometime in 2026. Probably, well, I tend to be a bit optimistic when it comes to timelines, but in 2026. So yeah, before 2027, let's put it that way. For the first time, Elon Musk appears to be shifting gears. He's not just focused on getting people into electric cars anymore. He wants to help them live more sustainably too. And that shift isn't random. For years now, owning a home has turned into a massive burden for millions of people, especially younger adults and middle-class families, as prices for both buying and renting have spiraled out of control. Musk is moving quickly into this space. And his logic seems simple. If Tesla could turn electric cars into a worldwide phenomenon, why couldn't it do the same for housing? A package shows up, and a few hours later it's fully installed and ready for you to move in. Instead of the usual grind of hiring contractors, electricians, and plumbers, plus dealing with constant delays, surprise expenses, and legal headaches around land. Tesla wants to hand you a home that's already finished, built by robots on an assembly line at the Fremont factory, then shipped straight to your doorstep, kind of like ordering a car. That's the pitch behind Tesla's tiny homes. Now here's the big question. What's actually packed into roughly 280 square feet, and how would you even go about ordering one? Let's dig in. What really sets the Tesla tiny house apart from other tiny home models is how it's built. This wouldn't be constructed on site the traditional way. Instead, it would be manufactured industrially, with an incredible level of engineering precision. Every component would come out of Tesla's Fremont Gigafactory, where robots and automated production lines keep the whole process tightly controlled. So barely any two units would differ from each other. By the time it leaves the factory floor, the house would already be fully assembled. Load-bearing walls, kitchen, living space, bathroom, all of it. The electrical, plumbing, and ventilation systems would be built in as plug-and-play, meaning you'd basically just set it down, hook up a few connections, and you're done. By the time it arrives at your place, it would be nearly move-in ready, with just a handful of final connections left to make. Even the materials tell you Tesla isn't going the conventional route. Rather than relying on drywall that dents easily or materials that degrade over time, the company would use reinforced steel frames, ultra-tough concrete panels, expanded polystyrene insulation, and several layers of composite material. All of it would be compressed under massive pressure up to 259,000 pounds, creating incredibly stable modules roughly 8.5 meters long and 4 meters wide. The end result would be a structure that's remarkably strong yet still light enough to move around easily. Once it rolls out of the factory, the home could actually fold down into a compact rectangular block sized to fit standard trucks and shipping containers. Each module would weigh about 250 pounds, which means even remote locations wouldn't be off the table for delivery. And yes, Musk is reportedly teaming up with Boxable on this. Boxable already has serious experience in modular housing, making it a strong fit as a partner. Musk apparently even lived in a Boxable tiny house in Texas for around 3 months to test it out himself before signing off on the partnership. Once a unit reaches its destination, the whole setup process could take just a few hours. The modules would unfold and get anchored to a foundation, which could involve screw piles, steel frames, precast concrete slabs, or adjustable supports. From there, electricity and water get connected through waterproof quick connect fittings, everything gets a final check, and that's it. Within 1 to 3 hours, the house could be fully up and running and ready for someone to move in, a stark contrast to traditional construction, which typically drags on for weeks or months. As for durability, the Tesla tiny house is being designed to hold up against some pretty rough conditions. with its steel frame, multi-layer waterproof panels, and built-in drainage system. It should be able to withstand major storms, heavy rainfall, flooding, and even heavy snow. The roof is engineered to bear significant snow loads, and the outer shell is meant to resist corrosion and mold so the home stays solid for years. Tesla isn't claiming it's indestructible, but compared to most tiny homes on the market, the safety and build quality would likely be a notch above thanks to the precision engineering behind the materials. The interior might be the most interesting part. Even though it's only about 280 square feet, the layout is thoughtfully planned so the space still feels open, bright, and livable. Ceilings would sit around 9.3 feet high, with windows and doors reaching close to 7.5 feet, letting in plenty of natural light and making the place feel bigger than its actual footprint. Inside, there'd be 4 distinct zones: a living room, kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom. Right by the entrance is the main living area, which can comfortably fit 2 or 3 people. It could include a pull-out sofa bed, a coffee table, a wall-mounted TV, and depending on what you need, it could double as a home office. Composite wood flooring would help keep the place warm in winter and cool in summer. The kitchen might be compact, but it would come fully loaded: induction cooktop, sink, fridge, dishwasher, oven, and plenty of cabinet storage. A fold-down dining table could be built right into the kitchen to save space. And Tesla would include ventilation and air filtration to keep the air fresh and stop cooking smells from lingering. In the bedroom, a wall-mounted Murphy bed would fold up during the day to free up room and fold down at night into a comfortable double bed. The bathroom, though small, would still feel modern: frosted tempered glass, a sleek shower, a minimalist sink, a mirror, and a water-saving toilet. Smart climate control would keep things comfortable year-round, and hidden storage compartments, wall shelves, and built-in drawers would make sure every inch gets used. What could really set the Tesla tiny house apart is its Lego-style modular design. Units could connect to other modules side by side or even stack vertically to create a much larger living space. You could start with a single 280 square foot module for 2 or 3 people, then later expand into a 2 or even 3-story home that fits a family of 5. It's built around flexibility. Start small and add modules as needed instead of taking on the financial weight of buying a huge house right out of the gate. On the energy front, Tesla could also offer an upgrade package. For a few $1,000s more, buyers could add a solar roof and a Powerwall battery, all managed through the Tesla app. With that setup, you could go almost entirely off the grid for electricity. The base version would already have standard electrical and plumbing, but with the upgrade, the home could become a genuinely self-sufficient place to live. Enough power for air conditioning, electric cooking, a washing machine, even charging a car. There could also be clean water storage tanks, rainwater collection with filtration, gray water recycling for the toilet, and a closed-loop waste system. Altogether, it would function almost like a self-contained little ecosystem, ideal for anyone who wants independence without sacrificing modern comforts. What really catches people off guard isn't just the $7,999 starting price, it's the idea that you wouldn't be hit with the usual pile of extra costs for land, taxes, or construction. With traditional home building, buying land, securing permits, and wading through paperwork and regulations are often the biggest hurdles, and in some places, land alone costs more than the house itself. Tesla wants to flip that whole model, making buying a home as straightforward as buying a car: place your order, receive it, move in, done, no hidden costs. Musk has even suggested that if you don't own land, Tesla might offer free land use for the first 2 years in certain areas. Tesla would handle manufacturing, delivery, and installation from start to finish, and when the home shows up, it wouldn't be an empty shell, it would arrive as a complete living space, solar-equipped, app-controlled, and ready for you to settle in. That directly targets the biggest issue plaguing the housing market right now: land keeps getting more expensive. If that obstacle were removed, home ownership could suddenly become realistic again for millions of people. Picture ordering your house online, a Tesla Semi shows up a few hours later, and within 1 to 3 hours the home unfolds, gets hooked up, passes inspection, and is ready to live in. No massive mortgage, no mountain of paperwork, no long-term financial strain. It sounds like something out of science fiction, but Musk insists it's entirely doable. Delivery is expected to take around 1 to 2 weeks after you place an order, and thanks to the foldable modular design, the whole house could fit on a Tesla semi-trailer or inside a shipping container, making shipping it anywhere in the world faster and cheaper. Tesla is aiming to turn affordable, sustainable, and accessible housing into a real thing, something very few companies have actually been willing to chase. And in the end, it all circles back to Elon Musk, a guy known for making choices that sound absurd at first, but end up reshaping entire industries. Before moving into a tiny house, Musk owned several properties worth millions of dollars. Then, in May 2020, he sold off nearly all of them and moved into a small house near his workplace. That decision got even more attention because millions of people were already struggling with skyrocketing rent. In the U.S., average apartment rent often falls somewhere between $1,800 and $2,500 a month, and in cities like New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, it's much steeper. Watching one of the richest people on the planet live in a home worth only a few tens of thousands of dollars sends a pretty loud message: own less, live more sustainably, and rethink what luxury actually means. If you're thinking a product like this would get copied almost instantly, Boxable doesn't seem too worried. According to the company, very few competitors truly grasp how complicated the underlying technology really is, and that's exactly the edge that keeps Boxable ahead of the pack. Now it makes a bit more sense why Musk picked a casita worth around $40,000. First, he just needed somewhere comfortable and practical to crash near work. Nothing fancy, just realistic and private. But there's probably more to it than that. Musk seems drawn to backing a company that shares his overall vision. Tesla is reshaping zero-emission transportation, while Boxable is trying to reinvent construction by building faster, greener, and cheaper. Given Musk's long-term push to cut down global pollution and emissions, choosing a casita lines up perfectly, almost like a statement in itself. Here's a third angle a lot of people probably haven't considered. What if Musk is actually testing the casita as a housing model for another planet? He's never abandoned his dream of building a colony on Mars. And if a real community ever takes root there, people are going to need structures that can be set up fast, run efficiently, and sip very little energy. Manufactured in a factory rather than built painstakingly on site. The foundation of that idea is small, lightweight, easy-to-transport modules, not unlike the Boxable unit Musk reportedly lived in. So moving into a $40,000 prefab home might not just be about convenience or sustainability, it could double as a quiet experiment for the kind of housing Musk envisions supporting humanity's future on Mars. Sustainability sits at the heart of this whole modular housing trend, and it's not hard to see why Musk is leading the charge. As someone who helped push electric vehicles into the mainstream, he clearly understands how urgently the world needs a more sustainable path forward. His small home, built with eco-friendly materials, shows that green living isn't just a nice idea on paper, it could become an unavoidable shift in how people think about where they live. For Musk, this compact home also doubles as proof of minimalism in action. Despite his enormous wealth, he steers clear of the usual symbols of excess. Instead of super yachts and sprawling mansions, he opts for something simpler, freeing up his energy, resources, and focus for innovation and sustainability. That says a lot about how Musk seems to operate, stay focused, stay efficient, and take real responsibility for the environment. Beyond even the Mars angle, the tiny house reflects a philosophy Musk genuinely seems to live by. Live simply so you can build bigger things. In a world that often measures success by excess, he's chosen the opposite path. A small space, but one with real purpose. Innovation doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes a better future starts by shrinking your own lifestyle. And here's probably the most compelling point of all. If a billionaire can live in a tiny home, why couldn't millions of other people do the same? Especially with home prices climbing far past what most people can realistically afford, this model could genuinely change the game. It could open the door to affordable homeownership for low-income families, students, or anyone trying to break free from an endless cycle of debt. If it actually works, it could shake the foundation of the traditional housing market, where sky-high land prices and rising construction costs have turned owning a home into a distant fantasy for a lot of people. Still, no matter how appealing the Tesla tiny house sounds, there are real issues worth examining honestly. Tesla promises steel frames, thick insulation, water resistance, and mold resistance, but no structure is ever truly maintenance-free. Wear and tear catches up eventually. Walls can crack, floors can warp, door seals can loosen over time. Imagine finding a leak in the middle of a Colorado snowstorm, or dealing with mold in Florida's humidity. At that point, the experience wouldn't feel much like the shiny future being advertised. Insulation quality would matter enormously too. If it's not genuinely effective, you could end up freezing through a Midwest winter or sweltering through a Texas summer even with the AC cranked. Driving your electric bill up and undercutting the whole energy efficiency pitch with only 280 square feet to work with, privacy could also become a real issue. The living room, sleeping area, and bathroom would all sit close together in essentially the same space, so having guests over could mean putting your entire private life on display. Living in a place like this would force you to actually commit to minimalism. Staying organized wouldn't be optional anymore, it would be practically mandatory. If you're someone who likes collecting things or holding on to stuff, the space could get cramped and uncomfortable fast. In short, the Tesla tiny house could offer a genuinely appealing kind of freedom. But that freedom comes with real trade-offs. The real question is whether you'd be willing to give up certain comforts in exchange for that kind of stripped-down lifestyle. And realistically, this whole vision could still take a while to become reality. Right now, Tesla has plenty on its plate. Challenges in the EV market, pressure from investors and the public, development of the Optimus robot, and new car models on the way. Housing isn't the company's top priority at the moment. On top of that, building homes is a far more complicated undertaking than building cars. Tesla would need to aggressively drive down the cost of Powerwalls, solar batteries, and construction materials, while also fine-tuning the assembly process to hit real scale. Before mass production kicks in, the starting price could easily end up higher than a lot of people expect. That said, Tesla has shown time and again that once it hits enough scale, costs tend to drop fast and innovation speeds up right along with it. Musk has undeniably put modular tiny houses on the global map. That became obvious when Boxable reportedly pulled in more than 100,000 pre-orders shortly after news broke that Musk was living in one of its homes, a clear sign of just how much pull Musk has and how easily he can turn a simple idea into a worldwide trend. If Tesla officially rolls out a tiny house product, it'll definitely run into obstacles along the way. But given the company's track record for fast-moving innovation and its always-forward mindset, there's good reason to think the world could see a genuinely commercial version within the next few years. With its manufacturing muscle, technology, and massive resources, Tesla would have a serious edge in turning this idea into reality, likely faster and more efficiently than most competitors could manage. So, will this end up shaping the future of housing, or will it just be another bold Elon Musk dream that never fully lands? Only time will tell. But one thing already seems clear. A Tesla tiny house wouldn't just be a place to live, it could become a symbol of innovation, sustainability, and a whole new way of thinking about what home even means. What do you think about the tiny house movement? Do you believe Tesla's technology could actually change how people build, live, and access sustainable housing?